Well, we are here right now with Chad Connelly to talk a little bit more about this big announcement from Florida today. Obviously, you know, them moving their primary up to January 31st is a big deal. Now, how will this affect our state?
Well, you know, look, they forced our hand. And like I said yesterday, and I've been saying for months now, I knew Florida was a linchpin. We've done everything we could to try to make them behave. They were part of the vote that ensured this counter was going to be intact. The RNC said we don't want to have the chaos and the compression of the counter like we had 4 years ago, and yet here we are again. Even though we've given Florida the convention, they've already had 2 debates. Now they're pressing the counter in, so it's going to force us into January. A lot of my narrative was I don't want to accept the penalties from the RNC if I'm being forced into January and we lose delegates. So I've called on the RNC, and I'm going to push that issue that Florida will lose all their delegates. You know, we've already honored them in such a huge way, and now they're pushing the counter in, forcing the 4 carve-out states to push our counter back toward January 1.
Now, the punishment, as I understand it right now, is that they'll lose at least half of their delegation. Is that right?
That's right. They're going to lose half their delegation, but they're also going to have proportional delegates, and I don't think that's going to make the candidates very happy. In fact, one thing, a friend of mine in Florida who's a committeeman, the national committeeman, who I met down there and was part of the process trying to make this calming the chaotic effort, wrote us a letter and apologized to us. And something he said I think really matters. He said the only thing others will say is that going early will help Florida be more significant. I would submit we will be less significant because no candidate can get momentum from the few delegates they will get from Florida. Further, how much more significant can we get than hosting the convention? That's the national committeeman from Florida, who's a friend of mine, who I befriended in the last few months, who was trying to be a part of making sure this counter stayed calmed down and it stayed intact. It'll impact everybody significantly because now we're pressed into January as opposed to being more spread out. Candidates have less time to meet people, get vetted out. Voters have less time to get to know the candidates.
And I know you said yesterday if Florida was to move up to, you know, say a Tuesday, that you would want our state's primary to be on a Saturday. Is that still the case? And will we face any punishments because of that?
Yeah, that's the sad thing. We're going to face punishment. We'll lose half our delegates as it's written right now. I think it's sad. You know, I'd like to go on a Saturday. We're having discussions on that. In fact, I've spoken to the other carve-out states chairman in the last few minutes, and we're going to have a conference call this afternoon. I would look for the 4 of us to hold off until after the weekend to even indicate when our dates are going to be, because we need to have the process to calm down a little bit. We did all we can to make them stay in February or March like the calendar and the rules dictated, and now I think it's a confusing thing for the chairman because we're not sure which rules matter.
And there was a time limit involved in kind of declaring when your state's primary would be, is that right?
Well, they say they want the date in by tomorrow, but my answer to the RNC has been, well, is that date and that rule any more important than the rule not to jump from March the 6th? So we're trying to get clarification. I would expect we'll have a conference call with the RNC this afternoon to try to get some clarity.
And then just, you know, one kind of question here. It seems like everybody, you know, one of the proposals today from one of the Florida folks was January 3rd. It seems like everybody's just trying to jump in front of everyone else.
Look, I hate to say it. I think it's arrogant on the part of Florida. You know, they're playing big boy on the block, and I get it. They are. But they've gotten all this recognition, all this notoriety, and I know the candidates can't ignore them. They're a big state. They're a swing state. They've got a great demographic, but the RNC set up rules for a purpose. We have states from every part of the nation that's done a traditional job of vetting out and picking the nominee. South Carolina's got a 30-year tradition of picking the eventual Republican nominee. I mean, we're legitimate now. People look to us. The candidates know they have to expect to come here and have to come here and do well. We're good at vetting them out. They're able to crisscross the state. It's small enough they can do that, and they can be in every nook and cranny in South Carolina and really connect with voters. They can't do that in Florida. Florida has 8 major media markets, way more expensive, and it's not like you can go to the far end of Miami and then be up in Destin that evening unless you're flying and you're spending a lot of money. In South Carolina, candidates can really get around and meet different demographically located people and different geographically located people and really get to know the voters.
And then also, how is this going to affect us economically?
Look, we lose a month. We lose a month of candidates being in our state, getting to know the voters, spending time, spending money, spending resources, hiring people. We lose a month. It's a big blow.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you so much,
Mr.
Connelly.
Appreciate it.